George initially set out to do was a kind of 3-act saga. We felt that we should honor and respect that.
Hope you're doing well. Now, I did mean a long time ago to do a trailer reaction to literally every TV spot that's coming out for The Rise of Skywalker. Now, I thought it was kind of funny because I thought there was just going to be 2 trailers and they said it was the final trailer, obviously copying the Joker. And now we've got about 1,000 TV spots and now they're putting out clips as well. And I thought, well, maybe I wouldn't do the TV spots because there'd be too many. But this one caught my attention. It's called Kylo Ren Meets the Emperor. And I don't know if this is like a great decision or bad decision. Like bad because they're really desperate and they're trying to draw people in with nostalgic things with the Emperor. Or that it's good that they're going to build up the hype because the Emperor's in it. And it would be good to the story. But I don't know why you'd show the Emperor. It's titled Kylo Ren Meets the Emperor. So surely that's got to spoil the story ever so much. And this is, I don't know if I even want to watch this because I bought my ticket. I bought it as soon as they came out. I want to see it purely because I just want it done and dusted. Like, I never thought I would even say that. Even Last Jedi, I thought, well, if it's bad, you know, it can't be that bad. It's Star Wars, I'm going to love it. And it was terrible. And I hope it's not the same with this. I just really hope stuff happens in this one, which makes everything else seem relevant and worthwhile and worth watching again. But you just know it's not. But yeah, we'll get into this trailer reaction very shortly. I just want to say a couple of things. That it's getting incredibly close to The Rise of Skywalker. And my thoughts for this at the moment are literally disappointment, like non-stop. I've watched all the videos on the spoilers, read all the spoilers and things that have come out. And I'm kind of my main thoughts for this is to say that it's very anticlimactic. There's nothing that says wow to me in this. And I swear to God, if Anakin Skywalker is not in this film, I'm going to go absolutely ballistic because, like, everything is sort of building up this. The fact that Hayden Christensen wasn't allowed in the events, Disney said he couldn't go, purely probably trying to keep something secret. And another thing as well, what's his name? Kevin Smith, and he said the end of The Rise of Skywalker is going to blow your mind. Now, if that's anything to do with the spoilers that we've seen before, where Rey, spoiler alert, Rey goes to Tatooine to the homestead and proclaims she's a Skywalker, then my goodness, man, this is just the same thing that's happened again in The Last Jedi, where people like, I don't know, Kevin Smith or whatever, hype things up so much, and really there is nothing to be hyped about at all. I'm expecting a great thing because he said that. I'm expecting something that's literally going to blow my mind. I'm going to be sitting there in the cinema hoping for my mind to be blown with some amazing Star Wars thing. Whether that's going to be like Anakin Skywalker's a Force Ghost and not just Luke and Leia, but everyone's a Force Ghost, then I might be sort of satisfied. I've heard rumors as well there's going to be like Mace Windu's going to say something as well. Like, I don't think Mace Windu took the path for immortality like Yoda and Obi-Wan and Anakin, so I don't know how it sort of fits in there, but it's just like cherry picking and plucking like all these people to chuck in there. Now, if that's part of the rumor thing that's going around at the moment, then that to me is just ridiculous because you don't really have a meaning for this part of the story, and it's like you could literally pick any Jedi. What about Kit Fisto? Why doesn't he say something? Or Plo Koon or Kiandi Mundi? Like, you know, you got to draw the line somewhere. But yeah, let's just say for me right now, all the spoilers, you probably watched it as well, or read about them, heard about it. A very anticlimactic for me. There's parts of the story which kind of work, seem interesting, like they could go into places. I think just for this story, I think the Emperor's going to save it, make it watchable. But whatever happens here, I feel like probably should have happened in The Last Jedi. So now we're anticipating, like, oh my God, what's the Emperor going to do? Now he's returned type thing, if that makes sense. But I'm sure this will have more clarity maybe. I'm just very skeptical about everything right now. I don't know whether to be excited, just a sense of dread. I think I've got all these looming senses which are really masking everything right now. And I've sort of been lying low because I just don't really know what's going on with Star Wars. I was literally just speaking to a friend on the phone, and he was saying he's just a casual Star Wars fan, but with the originals, like, he knows everything that happens in those. But these ones, he doesn't have a clue. That just sums it up perfectly. And I think that's for many people as well. There's just we don't know what's going on with the story. The Last Jedi is dead. It killed it. It sort of hit the reset button. Now they're going to salvage that. Now, if this isn't going to be the biggest case of retconning of what came before it, I don't know what is. But I just hope it just manages to save something of Star Wars. But yeah, no, I could keep going and going. But let's get on this trailer action, which is what you're here for. Okay, so I don't want the Emperor's face to be spoiled. Like, obviously I want to see it. I want to see the Emperor's face and what's going on and how he looks now. But surely they can't be that stupid to put it in a TV spot trailer. Like, giving away an integral thing like that might draw audiences in, I don't know. But it says Kylo Ren meets the Emperor, so what are we to expect? Okay, let's do this. Oh, it's giving me chills. Oh my god, it's the Emperor's theme, man. See, this is the thing, it's the music that gets me. That's what I want. That is what I want. Why hasn't this been done already? This looks good. Oh, they're gonna show the Emperor.
This has been every voice you have ever heard.
Yeah, of course. Retcon.
Inside your head.
Oh, don't show him. Don't show him. So they're going to show the Emperor. Was that like a teasing where? Okay, well, I'm kind of slightly pissed that I didn't get to see the Emperor there because I felt that. Seriously, I felt that music. I've said it before. I don't know if you picked up on my previous videos. I've always wanted Star Wars movie, like these sequels, to delve into like old Sith mythology and give it some sort of, you know, in Rebels where it's that one with Darth Maul and the Sith temple. I want that with the Emperor or something to do with the Sith to give the Sith meaning and sort of more purpose into the story, or find out something we didn't know before. This is heading in that direction, and I like what I'm seeing here. But remember, however much I like that bit we're seeing there, that is going to be a small part of the movie, no doubt, which is filled to the brim with political agendas and you know, Mary Sue stuff and everything else, which is going to be a sad fact. I don't want this. I don't want her to feel tricked by this, because I've been tricked too many times with TV spots, trailers and everything else that has been presented to us before in previous movies, and in reality it's completely different vibes. I remember with The Force Awakens there was a lot of sort of original Star Wars stuff going on there, but the vibe of the film was completely different to the trailers, and this epic thing with Luke Skywalker was building up and you thought it was going to be about Luke Skywalker, and then the first thing, Luke Skywalker's vanished, and then you're like, oh. And, you know, they did their job, they got you into the cinema, so that was put aside. With The Last Jedi, it was like, Luke's going to be trained, and Luke's going to be training Rey, and he's sort of doing something on this island, I don't know, but at least it's going to be new and exciting, and no, Luke was the most disappointing thing in Star Wars to date, and really, just the whole film was just an abomination in my eyes. I just can't literally watch it. With this, I feel like it's going to be the same thing. I really want it to have that sort of feel. I think there's going to be something really dark and mysterious with the Emperor. And I'm not joking, like, I love the Emperor, I love Ian McDiarmid, and to see them in this film is amazing. Like, it kind of devalues Darth Vader's thing, but as long as it doesn't devalue Darth Vader destroying the Emperor, then it will kind of make sense. And this respect that he's gone away, he's built up everything, his essence, shall we say, flew away, the blue essence that came out of the shaft or whatever, and then it flew away and went into the unknown regions. He's trying to regenerate, I feel like another thing with the spoilers as well, that they said that Kylo Ren is going to, or the Emperor's going to regenerate himself, and then there's going to be a point where the Emperor looks like the Emperor from Revenge of the Sith, I think. If that's the case, then that's awesome. That makes perfect sense if his essence went away. Bear in mind, Palpatine was obsessed with living forever, creating life, being the master of life and everything around it. So that kind of makes sense for his character, that he would do everything and would have found out knowledge from Plagueis, no doubt, to be able to live on, whereas everyone else just thought he was dead. That I could kind of get by. But the problem is, I would have been more invested in that sense, that they knew what they were doing, Lucasfilm and Disney knew what they were doing, if the Emperor showed up at the end of The Last Jedi. Now, Snoke was killed off very early on well, I thought it was very early on in The Last Jedi, and I've always said there was kind of like, there was left with nothing anticlimactic at the end. It was just sort of dead space. It was rubbish. And after that shock where you thought it was going to build to something, and then Kylo Ren doesn't join forces with Rey, and then that was something else, like everything reverted back to normal, and you left to think, what was that all about then? For them to say now, Kathleen Kennedy say, oh yeah, Emperor Palpatine was always the bigger part of the picture, then if he was, then surely the best thing to do, and this is why multiple directors don't work, because there's no collaboration or collaborative process between the story, then surely the Emperor should have been present at the end of The Last Jedi for the ultimate cliffhanger, that Snoke is destroyed, and then something, I don't know, they manage to get to the Emperor, like Kylo Ren goes to the Emperor in this, or whatever's calling to him, who's been speaking inside his head. He still hears Snoke, yet he's dead, and he's just killed him, and he's like, oh my goodness, like, why can I still hear him? And he can hear Darth Vader. He goes to this place at the end of the film, and then you see the Emperor, and boom, end credits, and think of that, like, oh my goodness, you'd go crazy. Like, what a cliffhanger to get you into the last movie. And then this movie is all about how the Emperor returned, what he's been doing, like the hype. There's just so much hype you could build up for that. But with what they've done here by killing off Snoke, and then Rian Johnson saying, bye Star Wars, yep, super priority, yep, bye. It doesn't come across like they've had a plan in, or great plan from day one when they was writing the sequel trilogy. It's all just like, I can imagine, and I do feel somewhat sorry for J.J. Abrams here, that just sitting down, he's tasked to co-write with the Batman versus Superman writer, and think, right, oh my goodness, what the bloody hell are we going to do? Because Rian Johnson just killed dead Star Wars. He split the fandom. I would say he killed the fandom as well. I've lost interest in so much of Star Wars as well, which I never thought I would say. I've turned to just the originals and prequels even more. And Mandalorian's pretty cool as well. But even then, we can't get that out here in the UK, which is absolutely absurd. Why you can't get that until the 12th of March is absolutely ridiculous. And then Star Wars spoiling it all on their social media, like, I don't get that. That doesn't make any sense to me, but I won't get into that. But yeah, and the poor chap having to sort of fix that story and writing down something that would be relevant to fix that complete and utter mess, which was The Last Jedi, give relevance to what he did before that, and sort of conclude it as well. I mean, that's a mammoth task. I think I've got solutions as well, which I won't go into, but I've been thinking this is something that I'm going to do. Next week, I'm going to be releasing the Obi-Wan Kenobi standalone film, which I've written, done the artwork for with an illustrator and a bit of music as well. Once you've done that, if you enjoy it, then I'm going to completely rewrite the sequel thing as well. Do 3 more of those and show you what we could have done with the characters. I've kind of mentioned various stories which could have been cool for that, but I'll include it in all a visual and musically themed thing. Which would make sense for the sequels, and hopefully make it way better, because the things that they created, there was potential. There was always potential for these new characters with Rey, Finn, and Poe. This whole thing of them 3 together, they should have been together from the get-go in The Force Awakens. They should have always been together. Then in the 5th one, split off and sort of done things, Finn and Poe doing their own adventure, and then Rey going off for training. And then there should have been a cliffhanger thing at the end, and then now they're all together where they're going to try and, defeat everything. That should be the basic premise of it. But I just don't get what Disney are doing. It baffles me. The thought process baffles me. I don't know how confident they are with The Rise of Skywalker. When I booked my cinema ticket, I was like, me and my wife, I booked it for. There were two of about 10 other people in there. And that was it. I wanted to see it in IMAX 3D. They didn't offer that. The only IMAX they did was a triple bill of Star Wars Episode 7, 8, 9, which starts in my local cinema, starts at 12 o'clock at midnight. So you get about 4 o'clock, you'd get to watch The Rise of Skywalker. Or you could do it at 6 o'clock the day before. Then by the time it's midnight in another cinema, which I've always gone to, then you get to watch The Rise of Skywalker at midnight. So during the Last Jedi, we're going to go out and get dinner and then come back and then watch it, and that's how we're going to do it. But now I've thought about this, and I don't know if this is true. You might know if this is true or not. I'm not sure. But the fact that I don't know if this is a thing in IMAX anyway, but all the local IMAXs near me, they're all doing this triple bill thing. Now, is this a scheme? So box office figures and numbers come up on the opening weekend, so you have to pay a little extra more to see the three movies which you don't, the two other movies which you don't really want to see, especially The Last Jedi, in order to see The Rise of Skywalker in IMAX. Otherwise, you have to watch it in crappy, just sort of 2D quality and uncomfy seats. So is that a scheme so they make more money in opening weekend? I'm not entirely sure, but to me that makes kind of sense. So they're offering this thing, this collaboration with IMAX to hopefully, bring out a bit more money and say, oh, it was so successful. But bear in mind, an IMAX ticket is basically paying for two normal tickets, if not more, because the cinema in the UK is an absolute rip-off, like £15 per an average ticket, and then you have to pay a little bit extra as well to sit on a premier seat, which is in the middle of the cinema, which is absolutely absurd. But still, I remember when I was a kid and watched The Phantom Menace, I've still got my Phantom Menace ticket, and the cinema there was like £5 or £6 or something. Normal prices, but we have to pay extortionate prices. I don't know. And whether it'd be worth it for The Rise of Skywalker, I don't know. Now, in regards to this trailer, I love the music. The thing is, I really love the sort of theme, the Emperor's theme. That is my kind of style, shall we say. And that's what gets me excited, is the music alone. When I heard the Duel of the Fates started being used, it started pulling me in, because I care very deeply about Star Wars music. And that's probably the main reason why I bought my ticket to see The Rise of Skywalker. I'm most excited about listening to the music. John Williams' music has been the soundtrack of my life, and I listen to it every single day since I've got the soundtrack when I was a kid of Duel of the Fates on CD, of the extended edition for a special edition for the Phantom Menace. So from that point of view, I'm incredibly looking forward to hearing the music and hearing hopefully some old themes and everything. That's going to be completely awesome. But everything else, I mean, the story, I really don't care that much about Rey and what's going on, because it's just going to be the same tragic stuff, Mary Sue things. Also, as well, that trailer or that clip makes me think how I wish Kylo Ren was the lead, how he was the main in this story, and we get to follow his story and not so much Rey, or maybe Rey was the arc, because Kylo Ren is an incredibly interesting character. I started writing this story as well, like I said, if I do the rewrite thing, I started to write the story for Kylo Ren, and it works. Believe me, absolutely works. If he's like, even if he's the overarching character, what I've done for The Force Awakens, when I was writing it out, I was just thinking, this is gold. Like, seriously, that is how his characters should have been done. And I look forward to putting that in visually and, sort of telling the story there again. But this character of Kylo Ren, he's the one that interests me the most. He's the one I could kind of relate to, maybe. I can't relate to Mary Sue, and I certainly can't relate to Finn, who's literally done nothing. Like, apart from shout and scream, and that's it. There's not been much going on there. I don't want to relate to Poe, because he's been belittled so many times, and for being a great pilot and saving the Resistance, he's had no reward from that, and he just sort of goes along with it. Something I want to see so much in this is R2-D2 and C-3PO. I want to see a Force Ghost hoping to see Force Ghost Yoda, especially Obi-Wan and Anakin. Those are the top three, which I just hope so much that they've got in this movie, because it kind of makes sense. Like, if you're going to wrap it up, you need to include prequel people as well as the original ones as well. So I think that would really make it a nice, juicy, sweet thing. And if it's all of them as Force Ghosts, like at the end of on Endor, when the Force Ghosts come up in the victory celebration, then I'll be very satisfied with that, because at least it sort of connects it all. But if there's this kind of missing gap again of the prequels, then I'm just going to be pissed, because I love the prequels. I grew up with the prequels. I love the originals. Sure, I get they're different and very different tonally as well, but the story is still as prominent as the original story. You remember things in the prequels because they became iconic along with the originals, but there's nothing iconic in the sequels. Like, I can't think of a single thing. So yeah, I've gone on for too long, so I could keep talking and talking, and I was going to make a separate video about this and how I feel just before it comes out. So next Wednesday, I go to see The Rise of Skywalker for the Thursday night at midnight when it comes out on the 18th, 19th. And yeah, so I'm going to be very skeptical. I'm going to just vlog a little bit there, show you who's in the cinema and how many people were there. So it's all logged, because I did the same thing for Solo when there was literally 2 people in there, which was just crazy. And this whole thing of, oh, Star Wars fatigue, no, it doesn't exist. The Mandalorian has proved that doesn't exist. It's the stories and bad storytelling which is the problem. So hopefully that gets rectified, and this whole thing is saved by The Rise of Skywalker. I want it to be saved, but I know there's just going to be so many political things inserted into this movie. Some of the trailers, I could just see, you know, all the sort of the casting and how they've gone about doing it. You just get the same feeling again. It's just like, who's given the orders from ahead? No doubt Kathleen Kennedy. There's things on here which kind of don't look like Star Wars, but still, I'm happy to give it a go. I think J.J. Abrams has made it a lot closer to a Star Wars feel. Like, you can capture the Star Wars feel. You can kind of get that in The Force Awakens, but Rian Johnson lost it completely and didn't have the Star Wars feel whatsoever. It was just Star Wars misery and disappointment. The subversion was just complete disappointment all the way through. So yeah, I think the Emperor is going to be very interesting with this. I've heard that he's going to be a puppet or something, or I don't know what's going on, but there will be a regeneration thing there. And I've said it before where, like with the Emperor, I thought when I was a kid, when he was Force Lightning Luke Skywalker, that there was going to be a thing where he turns into the dark side, like a physical thing where he actually turns into... I thought there was going to be a physical thing that the Emperor was going to turn Anakin to the dark side. I always thought it was going to be that. So kind of like the Force Lightning, it was going to be something where he drains it from him, like the Emperor turned him physically. So that kind of thing that's going on here, if he regenerates himself like with life force and those kind of things that I seem to remember from playing Jedi Outcast and Jedi Academy, my 2 favorite Star Wars games, that's kind of cool. And that's the kind of thing that I wanted to see, and we should have seen like in Last Jedi. And I cannot stress enough how much the Emperor should have been the ending for the Last Jedi, in order to make this thing seem linked in together, and for them to always come across like they knew what they was talking about, as opposed to not knowing whatsoever. I'm sure you're busting to tell me what you thought about this trailer as well. Like always, put it down below, and I'll be reading it all very intently of what you got to say. I think we all pretty much feel the same sort of thing, this sort of skeptical thing. Some of you are literally like, no, like I'll boycott, not watching this, and I wish I had your strength and power to do that, but for the love of Star Wars, I can't do that. Like, that's just, I couldn't possibly do it, knowing that something might happen in there which could just be good for me and good for the Star Wars story. Like, I just don't have the strength and willpower of doing that. But for those of you who are doing that, then congratulations to you. I kind of completely understand what you're doing, because there has been too many disappointments, and why should we give them our money for this complete lack of respect for the fans, which has been shown in so many opinions and interviews and everything else. But anyway, look forward to seeing what you got to say. Hope you enjoyed this trailer action and this long essay of everything which I can't help myself, but I end up talking about anyway. But take care of yourself, and remember, the Force will be with you. Kenobi is going to be coming out next week, the thing I've been doing. Force will be with you always.